You have many language options for your Lambda functions. One of the most commons are maybe Node.js, Python, Go, or C# or Java. Actually, no, I hope you don't fucking use Java for your Lambda functions. But there is also the annoying language, Rust. And you know the Atwood's law. Anything that can be written in JavaScript will eventually be written in JavaScript, unless it can be written in Rust. So let's dive into the documentation. What the fuck? So I've created a project using the AWS CDK toolkit. CDK allows you to define our infrastructure through TypeScript code, also known as infrastructure as code. Inside our lib and then whatever name of your stack is, we will find our class where we can define all infrastructure inside. We start off by defining a role that our Lambda functions can assume or use. Then we add so we can see logs of the Lambda functions. Now some of you may think, but this is not following the principle of least privilege. Shut the fuck. After that is done, I recommend creating another class that is responsible for creating the Lambda functions. The important code in this is between line 15 and 22. First, we define where our compiled Lambda functions will be located. Then we choose which runtime the Lambda function should have. This should be provided AL2 for some fucking reason, I don't know. Then we can choose the ARM architecture because we don't want to get poor. After that, there's just some basic ass code, change it if you'd like. Now you can create however many Lambda functions as you like. Just call new and then whatever class name you have. So let's jump into the Rust code. When you create a new cargo project inside the root directory, you may end up with a folder structure similar to this. Inside the resource folder, you may find a cargo.toml file. Inside the toml file, you can find multiple Lambda functions. Their names should be similar to the name that you define when creating the Lambda functions inside CDK. Notice the square brackets and the bin before them. This is important. Make sure to create the equivalent folders and entry points for each of the Lambda functions. The entry file is the main.rs file. Inside the main.rs file, you should have one main function that should execute the handler function, looking like this. The handler function takes a Lambda event and returns, you guessed it, a Lambda result. And inside the Lambda function, you may write whatever shit code you want. To compile and build all that shit code, we need some sort of script. Introducing to you bash, the unreadable nonsense. And this is the glue to everything. First of all, we get the function name as the first argument, and if there is no function name, then we build all functions. There is also the zip file function that we will use for later. It does basically what the name says, it zips the file. In the second part of the script, we zip the files and then move them into the Lambda directory. This means that we have a directory of all our compiled Lambda functions as zip files. We can now run CDK deploy to deploy all of these functions. Or we can write another script that compiles them and then deploys them at the same time. And voila, you can now write 4x the code in Rust than what it could have taken if you have written it in TypeScript. You're very welcome.